When it comes to Genshin Impact characters, I've been known to take those who are supposed to take on a support role and turn them into more of a DPS, with two of the most prominent examples being my Shenhe on the Geo-only account or my C6 Nilou on my main. Now, sometimes these work and sometimes they are utter disappointments. But you see, recently, we've been given a very strong new support character. And since I've finally gotten her a decent set of artifacts, I figure it's the perfect time to take them all off and build her incorrectly. However, in this video, I also want to attempt to build Shenhe as a DPS, as other than Skirk, Cryo has not seen a lot of love lately. Since Shenhe was originally one of the strongest Cryo support units, plus I recently got her C1 from this little thing, I figured it could just be kind of fun to turn her into a DPS. So let's take these two supports and make them do some damage. As per usual, I first need to choose a character to move all of their stuff onto, because we still do not have artifact loadouts. When it comes to turning Columbina into a DPS, we kind of have two options. We can either go for the normal attack and charged attack damage, or focus on the skill and burst, which is probably smarter. Both the skill and burst scale off of HP, whereas the normal and charged attack scale off of attack, and if I were to build for attack, then the skill and burst aren't going to be doing much. As a result, I think that Lost Prayer or Surf's Up are going to be the best options for a weapon since I don't have her signature. And also, I don't just want to shove her into a lunar reaction team. That would kind of defeat the whole point of turning her into the DPS. So I'm going to be attempting to avoid most of the nod-krai artifact sets. I could go for Heart of Depth, either just for the hydro damage bonus, or if I want the normal attacks to do a little bit more, but I don't think that's going to be optimal. Then again, pretty much none of this is. Or potentially 2-piece Golden Troop and 2-piece Heart of Depth. I don't want to go for a 4-piece Golden Troop because then she has to be off-field, and I don't want to do that if she's the main DPS. So if I go ahead and do that, she gets up to 38,000 HP and a 69 to 244 crit ratio. For this, I might have to level her normal attacks a little bit. Of course, they're still going to be hitting like wet noodles. Although to be honest, a noodle might even hit harder because there's at least a noodle behind that. This is just wet. There is no noodle. But I'll bring it to level 6, and then it's time to figure out a team. Of course, Vaporize is an option, so let's go see what this does. I'm gonna apply Hydro, then use Shenhe, and then start going for our Pyro application. Swap back to Columbina. I didn't even see a number appear, so that's really good. There's 180,000, and the normal attacks don't hit for very much, kind of as expected. But we get some decent vaporizes in there. And I guess not everyone is familiar with my account. This is a C2 Shenhe, meaning I get 45% more HP on Columbina. So I just want to run the same team again to see how we do. Use the skill. That's 100,000. The burst there is... Oh, we didn't crit. What about charged attack? I am still getting some Dendro because apparently she had that stockpiled up. Okay, one more time. Skill, 100,000. Burst hits for 180,000. Charged attack is 14,000, so not very good. I could attempt to put Farina on the team, giving us Hydro Resonance. The only thing is for this, I don't want Farina's minions to actually be doing damage because then Columbina will not be able to vaporize. As a result, this is not going to be a very practical team, but the idea is to essentially keep Farina on healing mode. Then we go in, we do this, we make sure that we get the Shenhe stuff going, use this, get our Pyro application, then that hits for 163, and this hits for 293,000. That's not too bad. The skill keeps proccing for like 90,000 was in there. But on a second rotation, we're at full HP, so I would have to swap back to this form, and then the vaporizes are lost. So since Farina would be stealing a lot of our reactions, could I theoretically bring on Citlali because of this passive that would reduce the hydro resistance of enemies by 20%. Plus, she's on a scroll set, and there will be some freezes mixed in. I feel the biggest issue with this team is going to be energy recharge, but let's give it a shot. Go through, we'll set this up. We'll go for this into the burst, into skill there, 128,000. And then the burst. Oh, it wasn't afflicted with pyro, I don't think. Maybe it was at the very last second, but it was 200 and something thousand. I want to test that again, but this time I'm going to do it a little differently where I start with Citlali, just so I can get a freeze going there, apply Hydro, then do this, then set up these. Back to Citlali's skill into the burst. Columbina skill, I'll do a normal attack, and then I'll go for the burst on Pyro. Still 226,000. I could potentially swap Shelonen out for Farina. Then we're getting quite far away from it being a vaporized team, and so we could just fully commit and go for freeze. If I'm gonna do this, I probably want to ascend to Escoffier for the final time because apparently I haven't done that. And this boss requires a freeze team, or at least it is much easier with one. And so this is a great place to use our new DPS Columbina. Obviously, when it comes to a freeze team, we're not going to see big numbers like you would with Vaporize, but I feel that overall, we'll see a higher sustained damage, which we can go and test in the Miliestra Wonderland later if we want. And I mean, I'm probably gonna, but since you can't swap your teams while you're in there or make any changes to them, I want to kind of narrow down what my best DPS team with Columbina is, then we can head in there to test it. I'm so hoping with my last 40 resin that I get 4 drops, because if I don't, I'm gonna have to wait quite a while to be able to farm that last one. Oh, surprise, surprise, I didn't get it. Well, in the meantime, I'm gonna go grab some barrel conchers. Now that I've gotten the barrel conchers and I just have to wait, I figure I can try out the other way of building Columbina here, and that is going for a 4-piece Heart of Depth and focusing on the normal attack damage. Surf's Up also plays towards normal attacks, and so for this, I've swapped back to a vaporized team we were using, and so now our normal attacks, oh, I did a charge attack by accident, which hit for 25,000. I'll be honest, I completely butchered my rotation there, so allow me to try that again. One other issue that I just kind of realized is if I'm going for normal attack damage, then like that's cool and all. Normal attacks still do not hit for that much, but it's also harder for us to consistently vaporize. I think overall, I do just like having the mix of Golden Troop as well. I mean, maybe there is some play if I pair her with a Candace, as she can boost the damage of normal attacks a little bit, or even Dahlia could be okay, but both of them, Dahlia especially, are not built. Also, I did just remember that both our Sands and Goblet are HP scaling, and for the normal attack setup, that definitely reduces our potential damage, but also because we're not using her in lunar teams, it might be better to put her on hydro damage. Although if I plan on using her on a team with Farina, then I think the HP percent is still going to be better overall, but figuring this out is the whole point of this video. So that is what I am here to test. I silently set everything up so I don't say anything wrong. Skill does not crit, hate to see it. Burst also doesn't crit. Wow, I'm very lucky. Hey, look at this tech. If I put down the parametric transformer, I can let the minions attack it to lower my HP before I go into combat. Yeah, I'm kind of a genius. Let's see if we can actually crit this time. Skill, we missed again. Burst, 302,000 damage. I've now swapped Columbina back to an HP percent Goblet with pretty comparable stats. So I want to see if that burst hits for more or less than 302,000, assuming it crits. Of course, I'll do the same exact rotation. Skill doesn't crit again. Burst, 293,000. So the hydro damage bonus Goblet was better. Good to know. Though speaking of knowing things, I still want to know how much the skill is going to hit for. But here we go. We're going to crit right there. We missed again. We missed. How? How am I that unlucky with these crits? Like, it's so unlucky that it's almost lucky. How? I missed it again. Surely I don't miss it 6 times in a row. We get 166,000 finally. Like I had mentioned though, for consistency's sake, I do think the freeze team's going to be better. So I just need to wait for resin, because Escoffier is most likely also going to be used on the Shenhe team. So we shall reconvene shortly. And there is the final boss drop, meaning I can now ascend Escoffier finally for the last time. Then I will bring her up to level 90, and while I'm at it, Columbina can join her at level 90 as well. Then we get to do a damage test, and this is pretty straightforward stuff. We use everything, go for Columbina's skill, did not crit, very nice, into the burst at 120,000, and the boss kinda gets deleted. However, the question still remains, how much of this damage is Columbina actually doing herself? I'm gonna start first by just doing one rotation and then stopping it. Then I'll do another round where I actually go ahead and do multiple rotations. Uh-oh. I guess I'll throw in some charged attacks as well, and I also just completely changed the rules. I'm doing multiple rotations first time. It would appear that Farina is carrying the team. My support character is getting carried by another support character. Let's do this one more time in case Columbina for some reason just wants to do more damage. We're skilled to hit for about 35,000, burst for I think 122,000, and then I'll just do some normal attacks into a charged attack, keep that going for a little bit, and then I guess I'll use her skill before I swap her off. Dilali burst, Farina burst. Okay, I think I've gotten the rotation down a bit better, because the first time that I was doing this, it wasn't going too well, although even now my Escoffier still needs more energy recharge. I think that's good enough. I was able to get the team's DPS up to 81,000. And actually, Columbina was up to 31% contribution. That makes me feel a bit better. Now I'm gonna try this with Vaporized team. I don't expect it to go well for multiple rotations, but I'll do this and then swap her over. We miss our crit on the Vaporize. Love to see it. I'm just gonna cut it off there. Yes, Columbina has the highest contribution in this team, but usually the first rotation is where you see the most upfront damage anyways, and we're sitting at 36,000. If I just leave Farina on the damaging mode, surprise, surprise, our DPS is higher. Columbina is still actually the top DPS though. Oh, nope, Farina took it. Then as I do multiple rotations, the overall DPS does go down and Farina starts to inch ahead of Columbina. One more test here. Ooh, our damage is so much lower here. Yeah, this is definitely the worst performing team. Then just for fun, what if I went for basically mono hydro? Since there are basically no reactions here, I don't imagine this is going to perform too well, but we can give it a shot and find out. Also, I imagine Columbina is not going to do much of the damage here, but we want to spam our normal attacks. You know, it's closer than I thought it was going to be. And we obviously have no energy recharge problems here. Okay, interesting. That was the highest damaging on average team. Columbina is only doing about a quarter of the damage. That is actually pretty fun. Okay, hold up. I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't think this team would actually do very well. And I've definitely kind of butchered the rotation here, but I'll just call it there. And that is 91,000 DPS with Columbina tying for the highest contribution of said damage. Oh, a team where I get to use the Raiden Shogun. Don't mind if I do. And I decided, you know what? I'll just try throwing a Nefa on there. Like I said, I didn't want to go with a full lunar team, but yeah, this kind of just does damage. There are 0 energy recharge problems. And Columbina is doing the most damage. Of course, if I put Columbina onto a support artifact set, the overall team damage would probably be higher. But that's not the point of this video, because we need these characters that are normally supports to be doing the damage. So in increasing order of damage, these are the 3 best teams that I tested her with. And I'm noticing we have another character that kind of needs to be put to level 90, so I'm gonna do that because it's a little important for her. However, I said Columbina is not gonna be the only one being turned into a DPS, because Shenhe will be joining her. Now, this seems a bit more straightforward to me, since I'm going for a cryo damage build, because physical damage builds are dead in the water. I think I kind of have to put Chongyun on the team. Then I can use his skill to give Shenhe cryo infusion, and I can put him on a 4-piece noblesse set for a little more attack. I'm thinking a Scoffier has to join them, and then we kind of need Hydro. I mean, maybe I could use Bennett, but I think someone like Farina would slot in very nicely here, which means now we just... Why is Chongyun dead? Chongyun, wake up. Wake up, we need you. Thank you. I need to actually build Shenhe for DPS, because right now she's on a set that just gives her as much attack as possible. Unfortunately, I can't give her the Staff of Homa, as that's what a Scoffier is using. So... I mean, the Primordial Jade Wing Spear, that weapon exists. My only hesitation is that in a cryo-heavy team, we're already going to get 15% more crit rate through the cryo resonance. So I guess it's not like I'm going to be using Blizzard Strayer, as I only have 3 pieces on that set. But I could use Fractured Halo. We don't care about the lunar stuff on here anyways. It gives us more attack and more crit damage. But at least for the moment, I am going to give her the Primordial Jade Wing Spear. Alrighty, we've had a change of plans. After playing around with different artifacts, I don't exactly have a fantastic crit damage circlet, so I opted to go for the crit damage weapon and then crit rate on the circlet. Some of these are not insane artifacts, but I wanted to get her on at least 2 different sets. And so she's at 2300 attack and a 52 to 192 crit ratio, though that 52 will go up by an additional 15. And I'm not going to say what number that would be. Something worth noting is that her energy recharge is very low, but she'll be joined by 2 other cryo characters, and I have her C1. So with 2 uses of her skill, I'm kind of just hoping that we don't have any energy problems. Oh, I'm nervous because I don't expect this is going to go so well. In fact, I'm fairly certain Farina's going to have energy problems. I mean, that's almost a guarantee, I would say. Let's go for a held one into the skill, into a burst, and then we can just do normal attacks, maybe a charged attack thrown in there. It's hard to tell. I have a feeling Farina plus a Scoffier is carrying this damage, but that's why I'm so thankful that this exists now. Also, for anyone wondering why I would do this instead of just using a Skirk, please take your logic and sound reasoning and bring it somewhere else. I'm doing this because it's fun. Now, please, Shenhe, do not disappoint me. Well, it's kinda like I expected, Furina did not have her burst up enough, and Shenhe is getting hard carried. But that was useful. I feel like I'm not getting much value out of having Chongyun whatsoever. I don't get to do that many normal attacks. So I'm gonna try putting her on Golden Troop plus Shimunawa. It's around similar stat-wise, and then there are a bunch of different options we could try. Unfortunately, I feel that in most of them, Shenhe is not gonna be the one doing the damage. Please prove me wrong. All right, look at our team's damage. Shenhe's doing nothing. All right, I'm bringing Chongyun back, and I'm going to try buffing the crap out of this character. Put up the burst. Keep using this. I mean, we can't really get many melts here, I'll be honest. Skill hits for a whopping 42,000. Then we panic because Operation Buff the crap out of the character is not working. We're just not gonna look at those damage totals because that feels like an insult to the term damage. I'm finding it's a lot harder to make Shenhe into a DPS. Okay. This is proving to be difficult. After some testing, I think this team is kind of the best I can get it. Shenhe is still only doing about 20% of the total damage. With that though, I've not done the Spiral Abyss since it reset maybe 10 days ago. There is a Hydro damage bonus, which normally would make me bring my Nilou. But to start off, I think I'm gonna go with this Columbina team just because there's no other nod-krai character besides her. And when I said at the beginning, I didn't want to use an all nod-krai team, what I was referring to is something like this. If I wasn't trying to turn Columbina into a damage dealer here, there's a world where I may have tried a DPS Noelle on the second half, but that would have to be with Columbina for the lunar crystallization. I can attempt the Shenhe team, and maybe this works for floor 11, but I don't expect at least the Shenhe side to work much beyond that. For the monolith part of this, I think it's pretty obvious we'll be able to do it. I mean, this just works perfectly fine. Let's see how this side fares. I am trying to save my bursts, but because we're using freeze, that was fine. Here we go. This is gonna be easy. This is going to be so simple. Let's go Columbina. Yeah, I mean, this is good. I like this. And then back to the poor Shenhe team. First two went down pretty quick. Oh, I did not need to waste that there. That's not good. Now we have our final opponent for the first half, and this is so easy. I have to say it now because I won't be able to say it soon. And I mean, I knew coming into this that I couldn't freeze this guy. That is completely fine. We were still able to get 3 stars. Floor 12, though, is very much focused on lunar reactions. So Columbina might still have a chance. The Shenhe team definitely doesn't. This is going to be interesting. First half, DPS Columbina. I could put a Nefa on the team if I need more damage. And second half, DPS Nilou. Here we go. Hey, these enemies, by the way. Don't know who needs to hear it, but I'll say it anyways. These things suck. And actually, for these specifically, it would probably be a good idea to bring the Nefa. But these days, I don't get to use Raiden all that much, so I very much like an excuse to be able to do so. And we do still finish before the 8:30 mark. Oh, I just know this side's gonna suck because I have no lunar stuff. Oh, and the final boss on here has the Geo Shield, which I'm not gonna be able to break. So yeah, this is not gonna go well. Oh, wait. And then this guy's gonna become immune to one of my elements. Yeah, immune to Hydro. I believe there's a term for this. It's called, uh-oh, this isn't going well. Okay, wait, I have an idea. This is so stupid. My thought is I can try to use Mawika to make the boss absorb Pyro. I got some bad RNG on the first half with the enemies actually spreading out, and I just keep running away. But that's all right, because this is just gonna be sort of a test. I'm fairly certain the way it works is it's the element that applies the most damage when it's absorbing. So I want to try and use Mawika a lot here. Furina might end up doing more Hydro application, but I'm gonna go, yes, okay, Pyro is live. Now we keep using our Hydro, and we get lots of vaporizes. I mean, that's cool. I mean, wait, it's working. I thought I was gonna have to restart to get a better time in the first half. I can't believe I had an idea, and it actually worked. Unfortunately, attack percent is kind of useless for both my teams. Let's see how far we can go with this. No, crabs, don't spread out, please. We have a big crab that we need to deal with. So let me start getting all the buffs up. And we go to Columbina. We do some normal attacks there. Very nice. I'll use Raiden's burst there. Columbina burst again into skill. Just spam normal attacks. Okay. That works. I forget what enemy is on this chamber. It's... Ooh. Oh, no, wait. I hate these. Okay. Now I have to go through their second health bar, and then there's gonna be 2 more of them after this. This chamber is basically the devs going, oh, hey, you guys know those nod-krai characters that we've been releasing, those 5-star characters? Yeah, go pull for them, because, like, I just can't do anything to these. There is one thing I want to try. If I take the card that makes it so that characters restore HP on the bursts, I don't have to use Kokomi quite as much on the second half, at least for this chamber. Dude, like, look at the difference between these. It's just insane. First half just has a pyro shield. That's it. And I can melt through it. But this side, I don't like this side. You know who does like this side, though? Hoyo versus Wallet. I mean, I think that this is the best I could do here. If it was just 2 enemies, I would have beaten them in time. But sadly, we lose the 3 stars. And also, the reason I bring my Wika instead of Xianling is because as a solo pyro unit, my Xianling does not get her burst back in time. And that's on the Severed Fate set with an R5 catch and an energy recharge sands. So my Wika just makes it a little bit easier. Plus, her burst does good damage. Now we have to deal with this. I'm actually curious to see how this works because we do have lunar damage technically. So we get through the shield. I'm actually glad that I didn't bring a Neffa here because now I get to use Raiden and the team works just fine, even if it's technically not as optimal. Now though, I have to get through this shield, which means my Wika has to do the heavy lifting. I'll be honest, Kokomi is not the best healer to use alongside Farina unless she's going to be the on-fielder. Oh, I tried to swap to Farina to burst to iframe that. As you could tell, it did not quite go to plan. Not ideal, but I still got my 3 stars. I'm sad to say that Shenhe couldn't come along for this, but she helped out with floor 11 at least. And more so, I'm just really happy with how this team performed. In conclusion, I think the Shenhe DPS is unfortunately going to fall under that disappointing category. However, I think I might be keeping Columbina on a DPS build for a little while, as I actually enjoy using the team. With that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy, and as always, I shall see you all next time.